Oh, hey, Internet, what is up? You know who it is. It's Type QQ of the Squeaky Chair channel. I'm working on our Eden's Aegis 1cc, or better yet, our very best personal best score. I'm trying to hit that podium, the first, second, third place Olympic podium at the subreddit for shmups. They got a high score challenge going on at least for the next few days. There was a 2-week time period, and we're just about coming to the end of it, with maybe like a few days left. So now is crunch time. Now, me being a new daddy, which is a phrase I have to kind of worry about saying on the internet, as well as somebody with a full-time job. No excuses, rather, but a bit more challenge, I feel. But that's just fine to put on my shoulders for when I slam dunk this thing with a 1cc. But yeah, times to be able to play this and to record this and all that other stuff becomes sparingly, but that's just means that I have to prioritize my free time to making sure I do the job, as it were. We're coming close. We're at least, I wouldn't say effortlessly, but we're upon what's the words I'm looking for? It's escaping me now. We're coming across the final boss and the final stage somewhat regularly. I'm not so sure we will in this video particularly, but we're striking close. We're getting there. But really, the hurdle that's in front of us right now is not generally this first stage or anything. Hopefully we can score this stage without any hits here. It's ultimately the level 4 boss. The level 4 boss has been quite the thorn in our ass. And nailing our coffin if it needs to be a bit more fatalistic. Is that a phrase? Than just being a nuisance in our ass, as it were, in our rump. It's been downright fatal. But here we are, level 1 boss. Shouldn't be too hard, but we're kind of minimizing damage. It's all about reducing, stupid mistakes, and kind of piling up the the hits that we would want to kind of like insulate ourselves with when it comes to like the final level and whatever may become of that. There's no sense struggling with these stages and then showing up to the final level and then just getting obliterated, right? So far pretty good, picking up that bomb and then essentially no missing this. That's certainly something that we're going to need to do. I wouldn't say every run, but yeah, it certainly will not hurt any bit. We've noticed that, God bless these beginning levels, but it's all about the final level, and scoring big then. Yeah, I'm not really sure why the final level is just so heavy in points, but, I guess it makes sense, It's not necessarily as evenly as divided as you would suspect, or not really as momentum-based as you think. You think, you'd want to start up something in the first few levels, kind of keep it going, but it's not really the case, I'd wonder if you could do a pacifist run and then just show up for the final stage and then just score there. I would wonder, how decently the score that would be. Although that's probably just an exaggeration, really. It's really not that much, but a good chunkier score can come from the final stage if you are good enough. G-U-U-D, good enough, right? But upon recording this, I have checked out the leaderboards, and And I would, it's safe to assume my I don't know, the position that I've declared was mine for some odd reason, just because I placed it in the last high score challenge. That third place position is long gone. We can kiss that goodbye. There are some really amazing scores. I was going to say nasty scores, but I'm not necessarily saying giving that a negative connotation. They're just some amazingly, insanely high scores that I'm like, I'm never going to touch that. I'll 1cc this game, possibly, but I'll never touch that. That sort of like, I'm going to beat the game without being touched once, sort of stuff. Not happening. The sort that we are. We're going to, if we ever are going to beat this game, we're going to be, stumbling across the finish line, barely beating it. That's our style, not necessarily any sort of glorious defeat or victory for that matter. Kind of a cluttered pattern here. Hopefully we can kind of, that kind of fell right into our laps. I suppose if we were a bit more proactive, a bit more aggressive in seeing a sort of opening and going for it, we wouldn't have waited for that whole sort of cluster to kind of fall on us. As the first form. This boss not necessarily hard. However, as I speak, right? Just a real stupid dodge there. And as I was speaking in the last level, our 1cc is going to be determined by minimizing these like these stupid hits that we take and the stupid damage. We need to. There are vastly better ways of dealing with some of these patterns than the last two hits we took. And as we come close to the end of the game, 2 hits are going to. It could definitely be the difference between beating the game and not. We've come across many of final bosses and just wished we had one more hit, as like they have like a quarter of a health left. So it's just it's absolutely stupid. The trick is, and maybe the difficulty is to be on your game, be alert for the whole half hour as it may be, for the entire length of the game, and just try not to make a stupid dexterity move with your fingers, or just kind of lose your attention to a certain enemy attack. There's a lot of stuff going on. I hang out with friends, and we attempt to play some bullet hells occasionally, and a lot of times they're like, how do you fucking see anything that's on the screen? And a lot of it is you kind of have to train yourself, which for any moderately veteran of this genre will certainly know that, yeah, it's just a matter of practice. It's just you can read all the weird symbols that make no sense of musical like written musical what am I trying to say, written music, but it takes practice. You kind of have to learn how to do it. I would say anything kind of seems like it's impossible or difficult if if it's your first day on the job. I love this boss. I think I've said this before. This sort of mini boss with these 2 fists there just shooting at you, but you can break down those fists rather easy and they cancel off the whole screen. Pretty awesome. I like them. And he's not a boss that overstays his welcome either. Good stuff. I think you may only see him just this once in the game as well. I'm not entirely positive on that, but we're just asking to get hit by that dodge there. Just moving around like an absolute maniac, and luckily not punished for being so wild in blind with our dodge there. I mean, I think at the skill level we're at, I think it'd be kind of silly not to suggest a bit of luck is going to be required as well. Some of those like miraculous dodges that we don't deserve, that we just sort of slam our fingers into the arrow keys and somehow we make the dodge that we really have no business making. Yeah, that's another pretty silly, stupid, just kind of empty-headed direct hit to the forehead that we really we have to minimize if we ever want to beat this game and put up a nice score. And ultimately, if we are to 1cc this game, I don't think we're going to be, I think our 1cc score is going to be our sort of one and done. Yeah, I don't think we're going to try to better our 1cc. I think we're just going to score that and kind of be done with it and move on to other things. As funny as it is, I think we're going a lot further into this game than I thought we were going to be completely honest, I really thought it was just going to be a few, more or less just like a test run and be like, oh, okay, this game is too much for us, but oddly, it's kind of a lot more forgiving, certainly the patterns are absolutely bonkers, but because of the slowdown and because of the amount of hits the game will actually give you, as well as all the generous extends and whatnot, this game is actually quite doable. I think I've gone on to length about that, so I think that's really what's kept this game on the channel for so long. Not to mention, it seems like it's got got some interest from viewers as well. So very doubly, triply surprising. I particularly like that dodge, although you can't really boast too much about all these slow-mo dodges. It's kind of like, yeah, sure, you could dodge all day if the bullets don't move anywhere. It's a little choppy here, but it's sitting at 60 frames, 59 frames per second, so it's how the game's supposed to be operating. And some of those got pretty choppy. You gotta love these patterns that make you feel like an absolute boss, just wading through these sort of narrow tunnels and just coming up the other side full speed. Closing down on us. Luckily, you can see through the top of the webbing, as it were. And you can kind of see the bullets come your way, so it's not as threatening as it otherwise could be. Almost made a bad move there. On to the final stage. Rather, final form. And this one gets pretty tricky if you happen to fall into one of those curves. Well, or that instead. What this pattern has is a few of those curves there, and that's where the bullets get really condensed. However, it seems a pretty temporary type of FET pattern. And here at the end, just getting kind of beat up. I think we've been hit 4 times or so in the stage already. 5. This is... that's why we're not 1cc in the game right there. If you needed a single sentence answer to how come you're not beating this game, it's kind of like this stage, this boss fight. We survive, we're going on, but yeah, it needs to be prettier, more fluent than that. And this is certainly the stage where we have to play a bit more aggressive with our condensed fire, our sort of focus fire, to really kill off some of these enemies before they throw out too much nonsense on the screen. You can kind of see that even focus firing them like this takes quite a lot of bullets to kill. You can still get a good cancel and payout from it. Good stuff. And those enemies with the sort of, oh wow, that was real bad. I would say that those other enemies with the quite the large health gauge, you know, are pretty easy as long as you're kind of facing them directly on. You don't have to kind of migrate to them, but real hideous dodge out of it. So I mean, you know, we're down like 6 lives, 6 hits rather than we really should be. It's you know, granted, our focus fire is going to be killing on, you know, killing our, you know, our speed, but I think it's going to be at our advantage. One of the more trickier mid-level bosses here. Particularly more tricky as this sort of extend pops up on the screen. On the right side of the screen, a 1-up's going to appear, but then he's going to spawn enemies on the left. There's our 1-up. But there's our enemies on the left that's going to kind of fire on to us. Somehow able to kind of scurry around that, although, you know, we made it through one rabbit hole just to kind of come across the wall there. So, you know, certainly, it's a good trade, but probably a trade that we want to kind of get better and not necessarily lose a life on. Oh man, some real trash dodges. There's our bomb there. Yeah, as long as we're facing this guy kind of direct on, and we can kind of just do a little micro dodges here and there. Yeah, you can tell that's with our focus fire, able to take out those giant snake-like enemies. And actually get a decent bullet cancel on them. Yeah, nice cancel pretty much the entire screen there. I should be coming close to the boss. I think maybe just after these last 2 enemies. There we are. And as you can tell, as we're just kind of firing off our special willy-nilly, we kind of got that automatic special going. Alright. The judge and executioner of our 1cc dreams right here. There goes 1 hit. Ultimately, we want to face this guy, and if not play it a lot better, you know, just get 1 lucky run. I mean, luckily, you know, easy enough. I mean, one shitty dodge so far, but everything else seems to be going pretty decently. Just about wrapped up with this form. Although we know it's not really this form that's the main issue. There we go, that took that down. Yeah, this is it right here. This is the... I mean, not only can you take contact damage if you touch any of the three pieces of this boss, but you have to kind of spiral around counterclockwise, avoiding the orbs, which we just didn't do. Barely escaped that one. I think that was contact damage, to be completely honest. I missed it again. But yeah, it took 2 hits during that form, and we really can't afford that. I mean, it seems like this fight, and of course the boss before it, seemed to be two big hurdles that we need to kind of conquer a bit more elegantly to... there goes our life there. So yeah, some real ugly stuff here at the coming near the end of this. However, I mean, we are getting real close to our personal best, despite it all. Looks like 2 more million. There it is. That bonus there is going to pull up our personal best up to 23 million. So, I mean, there's at least that. We can at least say, okay, at least things are getting better. Things are progressing. So, if nothing else, what we're doing is kind of on the right path. We just need to kind of cinch it up. And kind of minimize the silly damage. And certainly as they're kind of bombarding all these giant tanky enemies, we need to put in our focus fire and remove them rather quickly. If not before they brain us with a bunch of bullets, just so we can hit them with some special. Tag them up for that bullet cancel. These pyramid enemies, they are rather tricky, I feel. For that exact moment, for that exact attack right there, I'm not sure exactly how to choreograph it. It's I can't tell whether they aim it at you or, yeah, it's tough to guess what the hell they're aiming at, if sometimes at you or where you're going or where they think you're going. It's tough to not feel like you're running into it. That sort of giant wall as we collect a bomb and get hit at pretty much the same time there. Giant swaths of popcorn enemies there. And if I'm not mistaken, killing some of these larger enemies that would otherwise bullet cancel their attacks, also bullet cancel the whole screen. So sometimes it's not the worst strategy ever to focus on some of these larger enemies when there's other things on the screen, just to kind of reset the whole screen, the whole mess of it. Oh man, should not be getting hit here as well. I mean, granted, there we go. I mean, granted, this is kind of... There we go, hitting an extend at 30 mil, so that certainly will help. Well, although we didn't really save that life a whole lot, but gives us a few more hits. Yeah, just really rushed that guy down. Yeah, you can really see with these enemies here, you know what, some special and some focus fire really can do. You can get a nice cancel out of it. However, when they come from the side, that is absolute mess. And then more pyramids fucking things up. I'm almost thinking, yeah, you have to kind of just stay on your sort of wide fire, just so you have a little bit more movement speed to kind of deal with whatever nonsense they're firing at you. But how we didn't get hit there, I'm not sure. We certainly begged the game to. There we go. Almost paying for our last lucky hit, rather lucky dodge. Just a giant spasm of enemies there. None of them all that threatening, but brings us to the final boss. We're currently sitting at 35 mil. Soon to be 36 possibly if we can score any points whatsoever. But we do have a couple lives, so we'll see. I mean, so far this bullet pattern is actually rather easy. And this one is as well. It's certainly one of those, just know when to find your opening and then just kind of not mess around with it and just take it. However, not a good time to hide in the corner with that one. That one you wanted to kind of, graze from one wide edge to the other, and you don't want to really fall in the corner and just have those fall in your lap. Sort of a basic final boss sort of pattern here with this sort of cycle of many bullets. However, the slow-mo can really make you thread some of these bullets. Alright, there goes the first form, bringing us up to 36 mil. I mean, imagine if you went into the options and took off the slow-mo. My God, you would just, I don't know, I would get annihilated. Wow, another really close dodge there. I mean, even this pattern here doesn't particularly look that threatening. It seems a bit chaotic, so as long as as long as you get the patience for it, doesn't seem to be all that bad. However, this nonsense looks crazy. Just sort of pulling you back and forth. Alright, brings us to our final life, so we have but three hits left. A sort of crisscross type of pattern, now that I'm not particularly happy with or comfortable with, especially with that giant wall coming our way. It seems that we just squeaked by it. Oh, that was really stupid. We had that as well, which is the sad thing. Again. Just a couple more hits left now. None of this seems particularly difficult. It's just a matter of just the fact that we don't have a lot of staying power. We don't have the stamina to really combat a lot of these patterns we're seeing for the first time. Again. Imagine if we had all those hits from the third and fourth level back. We could just kind of grind this last part out. It wouldn't necessarily reflect very well in our points, but we wouldn't be dead. So, we brought the final form of the final boss down to maybe like 45% of its health. So, bringing our score to 36 mil. Making progress, and I guess that's all we can do at this moment. But we have a few days left, so hopefully we can kind of really crank on the practice and really get this 1cc really scored. Yeah, you can tell how many points you can get right at the end. That final stage. Alright guys, that's going to be it for this video. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, do all that stuff. And we'll come back and play some more in the future.